Welcome to She Did It, 40 Years, 40 Stories, the EWMD podcast hosted by Simone Lersch and Ariane Bischoff. We will talk with 40 ladies of the network about their personal networking experiences and how EWMD positively influenced their career and lives. Listen to exciting stories and get a new idea on how networking can foster your professional journey. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to have three ladies in the podcast today, and thank you very much for taking the time and sharing your personal EWMD stories, especially that one of us is logging on from an area where it is still very early at night. We have one lady from the US, we have one lady from Italy, and one guest from Germany. And I would like to start with the first speaker, and her name is Tanuja Prasad from New York. Thank you so much. You're staying up late till 2 o'clock to make this recording work. Tanuja will tell us in a minute more about her story, a brief introduction to her person. She has a background in electrical engineering, software, and financial services technology. Tanuja's essential belief is in the interconnectedness and the oneness of the universe. And she found a way to connect both worlds through the field of complexity science. She is researching in Indian and Chinese medicine systems for their underlying complexity models and co-founded the Generative Investing Institute. She will tell us her unique story because she has been member since 2009. And for me, the big question is, how does an Indian woman living in New York become a member of the European Women Management Development Business Network? Tanuja, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, and very happy to be here. Very happy to be speaking to the EWMD community. As you said, I've been a member since 2009 and very happy to be a member. So the story goes like this. I had based in New York City, 2009, when there was not so much social media presence. I had never heard of EWMD, but a friend sent me an article written about women and the IT sector. It was just 4 or 5 sentences. I thought it was written very well. So I looked them up. Women's Association based in Europe. Nothing to do with me. But I did a bit more research and discovered that EWMD had done a learning journey to India. So I said, well, if Europe can go to India, then India can come to Europe. So I bought a ticket to the annual conference in 2009, which was in Brussels. And I showed up, not knowing anything or anyone. As it turned out, that was the 25th year celebration. So it was beautiful, it was big, it was special, and I had a wonderful time. Everyone came and spoke to me, all the attendees. Well, at least it felt like that, must be 90%. Spoke to me, and everyone asked the question, why are you here? So it became a wonderful conversation starter. And I've had friendships since then. But let me tell you what struck me most. So, as I mentioned, I live in New York City. I am aware of and have participated in many women's networks. But what I find in EWMD is a set of uniquenesses of the organization, of the women. Everyone has a voice. Everyone is willing to speak up, very direct, very opinionated, but at the same time welcoming. I just love it. And they're willing to listen to me as well. And that's what keeps me there. Whenever I have a chance, I attend the annual conference. And whenever I have a chance, I stop in Europe, especially in Germany, to meet my EWMD friends.
Lovely story, very touching story. Thank you so much for sharing. And what a nice coincidence that you became member in the 25th anniversary. And today we're talking about the 40th anniversary already. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I would like to move on to our second speaker, which is Pia Kroon. Pia is born and raised in the Netherlands. She has a bachelor's degree in hotel management, and she left the Dutch canals for Venice in Italy and has lived in Italy, in Venice, where everybody else goes for vacation. She has lived for 30 years. Imagine. Pia works as a freelance consultant in the hospitality industry, and she enjoys traveling, reading, and international cuisine. She will share with us her journey within EWMD, which started in 2020. And I look very much forward to listening to your story. Pia, please go ahead. Share with us your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, my EWMD story starts in the beginning of 2020. So, like you said, just before the pandemic, and indeed that became also an advantage, let's say, because living in Venice, I joined the Milan chapter really because I became in contact with the Milan chapter. So it's not really next door, but with the pandemic, we did a lot of things, or the Milan chapter organized a lot of things online, which for me was easy to attend. And immediately I found a group of people, a group of women that came from different industries. My objective to join EWMD was to broaden my horizons, to meet other women from other industries. And I felt like, even though I work in a very international environment, I know a lot of people from the hospitality industry, but not so many people from other industries. So that was my objective, to broaden my horizons and with EWMD, I immediately found a very open and inclusive environment. We organized a couple of online events, and I realized that there were a lot of topics I didn't know anything about, or topics that I never had thought about that would be of my interest. So that was definitely something that triggered, and something that I said, yes, there is a lot to do. I can make a difference maybe for other women, and also for my daughters. I have two beautiful daughters, and I thought of how will their future be, and what can I do personally to make a difference. And I think we have a lot to do in terms of awareness, and increasing the awareness of the difference. There's of course, there's a difference between women and men, but women should be considered more, and there's still a lot of stereotypes that we need to remove. So EWMD gave me the opportunity to become part of the communication team of EWMD Milan, and then I started to work with the presidency of Italy, and they asked me, would you be interested in becoming team leader for the Equal Panel project, which is a project done by EWMD Italy in 2020 to increase the equality in panels of conferences and events. So that was definitely something that I could relate to, and which is still something that I think is really very much important, to get the word out of getting more balanced panels and helping organizations to make it easier to make more balanced panels in conference and events. Now I'm also the director of communication for EWMD Italy, and it is really a wonderful environment. And in Italy now we have over 270 women in 8 chapters. So we're becoming a voice that is important, and I guess that is where we can make the difference, get more awareness, and together we can do very big things.
Thank you very much, Pia. Great story. And yes, every woman makes a difference. Truly our slogan. And I think each of us are doing their job, and they're making their difference in their lives. And you very obviously in Italy together with EWMD. Great story. Lovely. Thank you. Let's move on to our third speaker. I would like to introduce Nadine Nembach from Germany. She is a very present lady in EWMD because she is our current EWMD International President, together with her co-president. Tanju is the international co-president from Nadine. I don't recall Tanju's last name, but Nadine, you will help me out in that. In her private life, on business life, Nadine helps you as a trainer and coach to rediscover your golden thread. She is an international expert for leadership and customer delight, and she has covered over 34 countries and 68 nationalities. Her background is in psychology, and as mentioned, she works as trainer, coach, facilitator, and speaker. She lives in Munich, Germany, and I'm very curious to hear her EWMD story because, as I mentioned today, she's super active since many years already as international co-president. Dear Nadine, being a member since 2018, please tell us your EWMD story. Stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Ariane. And well, you already mentioned that I started being a member in 2018, and this happened, yeah, after the September 2017. And what happened there really proved that the best relationship usually start with coincidences, because I was exhibiting at a fair. And all of a sudden, there was a lady standing in front of me, and she said, "Well, I see you've got quite a lot of English stuff about yourself as well. Aren't you interested in our international conference that will happen next weekend?" I thought, okay, yeah, tell me a bit about EWMD. She did, so that sounded quite interesting. The conference sounded interesting, so there I went. I had tried other business networks before, but somehow I was never really home in any of those. That changed quite a lot when I arrived at the international conference in Ingelheim in Germany, because this really made clear to me, very clear to me, what I had been searching for. So something that fits to myself, to what I'm doing, to my job, who I am. And this was meeting so many strong and fascinating women. So there was always an exchange on the same level. It was so diverse. So there were so many people from different backgrounds, having lived in I don't know how many countries, having worked in even more countries. This was something that was proved while being an EWMD member. Either you find somebody, when you're searching for someone, either you find an EWMD member who does that or who knows that, or at least you find someone who knows someone. So we are really a very, very diverse network, and that's absolutely fascinating, and I absolutely love it. I also experienced this openness and open-mindedness as well. So you're coming and you immediately feel welcomed. Everybody is very open, everybody is very respectful as well. And this leads to a situation where you have a lot of fun and where you can reach so many things very, very easily. This led to the situation that being a member for 1 year and 9 months, I became international co-president. So not really a very long time to develop. And it was necessary because I really experienced with my board then, and also with the board now, and with all the members in the international teams, a fantastic combination of professionalism, of fun, of common values as well, being very close to each other. And I also saw how much we can reach to each other. And this is the current, besides being the co-president together with Tanju, but this is also the current basis for a big, big project that brought me to Brussels. Because I think same as all of our members, over time, the more you start to dive into the topic, the more you realize how many things need to change so that we create an equal world for daughters and sons. And this is what we are currently working on, fighting for together with cooperation partners, being in Brussels, talking to the parliamentarians there, talking to the commission people there on how can we really make the change felt. How can we shorten this time of currently 132 years before we have gender equity? If you would have told that to me in 2017, in 2024, you will sit in Brussels with Parliament and Commission, I would have told you you're completely crazy. But through EWMD and through working with everybody else at EWMD, this became the truth and this became reality. Yeah, and all that was EWMD and all that is EWMD for me.
In a nutshell. And that's a big nutshell, I would say. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Nadine. I would like to add something. When you mentioned you are in Brussels, this is the Brussels Declaration you're talking about. And I think that's an extremely important project you have taken on. And the root of this project starts in the Berlin Declaration. The Berlin Declaration, where EWMD Germany is part of, is a team of associations, women associations, positioning and supporting diversity, equal rights in Berlin with the German government. And you have taken on the even larger project of making a Brussels declaration. And could you just share a couple of associations that are with us in that big project?
So, first of all, yes, we did have a look at the Berlin Declaration. And what fascinated us is that it works. So many women's associations in Germany came together. I think the current count is something around 17. I'm not 100% sure. And they went to Berlin. They presented what they are demanding. I think that's also another thing. It's not we are nicely asking. It's rather we are demanding that there needs to be a change in so many areas. And it did work because all together, although they are different associations, all together with common values, they had a very big voice and they were heard. They could not really be ignored. And this was the reason why we said, okay, we want to do this as well on the European level, because also on the European level, we need a lot of changes. The European Union, the European Commission, is giving a lot of rules, sometimes laws, sometimes recommendations to its member states, and it has become quite a force on what happens in those member states. So we said, okay, we need to become louder as well. We need to become a bigger voice as well, and went in search for cooperation partners. And currently we have cooperation partners like EWOP, European Women on Boards. Some of you might remember that in 2023, the law finally came through on the number of women who have to be on the board, especially for the big companies. We also have as a cooperation partner the Women's Entrepreneurship Platform. So also coming from this side, from the entrepreneurs, what needs to change. One example, maybe imagine you're a female entrepreneur and you get pregnant and you have a child. Now, while you're employed, you do have maternal leave. When you're self-employed, well, you can apply for maternal leave at yourself, but there's no financial aid. There's basically nothing at all to help you. We also have as a cooperation partner WeGate, Women's Entrepreneurship Gate, which was a project from the European Union and now turned into an association. We have a company owner who so strongly believes in gender equity and who really brought us into the parliament as well. That company is called Cola With, and Jara Pascual is doing research and working in innovation. We also do have the working moms here in Germany as a partner. We have also the digital media women as a partner we are talking to. And we have the Oxford Brookes University in London as a cooperation partner, and a professor of law who is also in the team. So as you can see, it's quite colorful. It's quite different organizations. And same as happened in Germany, we're sharing the same vision and same goal, and it's getting us somewhere. So it works.
Impressive, really impressive. Thank you for sharing the list of partners. I wasn't aware of all of them. I always kept following a little bit, but I didn't read through the list and what is behind the names of the association. And maybe also interesting to hear that Jara Pascual is a speaker at our 40th anniversary conference in Madrid in October. Looking very much forward to meeting her there. Okay, thank you so much for this additional information, Nadine. Normally, at this point, we would have a fourth speaker, but unfortunately, that didn't work out. Helen McFarlane from US didn't make it. She lives in California, has a very busy schedule, and that simply, we tried a couple of times, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. I haven't given up hope. Maybe at another point, I'll be able to interview her as also a very long EWMD member. That gives us a time to have a quick exchange amongst us. And I'm wondering whether one of you has a question to each other.
Yes, I do actually. Thank you, Nadine, for explaining how EWMD has a different persona than most other networks. And I want to ask the same question of Pia. Pia, do you feel that EWMD is quite different than other networks that you have been part of? And if so, in what ways?
EWMD is different because indeed we have a very inclusive environment. So what struck me right from the beginning was that there's a lot of women from various industries, but we all have the same goal, and we all are interested in each other, and we listen to each other, and there's no judging or ruling. So it's a very open environment. So we all have the objective to learn from each other and to give each other the opportunity to grow. And I think that is something that really makes a difference within EWMD. And plus, it is an international environment, and I believe that, especially within the Italian EWMD, there are definitely opportunities for women to step out more than what they're doing at the moment. But we will get there and become really an international environment. Even though we're also doing a lot of interesting things on regional level.
Yeah, and I think that's how EWMD does and can do more to make a difference, in that it allows its members to experience an international environment, which they may or may not be able to do so in their professional lives in their own countries.
Well said. Yeah, that's true. We have mentioned a couple of times EWMD, our abbreviation for which stands for European Women Management Development, but it also stands for Every Woman Makes a Difference. I think we've heard already a couple of ideas, points where you made a difference. Maybe you come up with another point, with another incident, maybe also in your personal life and or your professional life, where you felt there I made a difference, whether it has been small or large, but there I made a difference. Do you have an example?
So, both in my personal and professional life. So, first of all, I want to make the statement that times have changed dramatically from, let's just 20 years ago, let's just put that, where the discussion was, how can women have a seat at the table? And that was mainly the discussion, to where now, where I am able to say, I don't just want a seat at the table. No, I want a seat in the universe. If you remember Nicholas Kristof's book, Women Own Half the Sky. So that is the goal, that is the principle by which I am running my personal life and my professional company. How to bring the realization and activation of women's participation, not as equals, but as necessary to create a whole, a universal whole. So that shift, in my opinion, is a shift of strength. Because previously we were trying to catch up. Now I'm saying I don't need to catch up. I am. So in my personal life here, I have many women, younger women, coming to me and saying, "Why don't you take a feminist stance?" And I say, because we are. We are. And I don't need a feminist stance for that. What I need is correction in the systems.
Completely agree with you, Tanuja. And I think that's really a big change that has happened in the last few years. That we have changed our mindset as well from we need to go yelling and screaming and defend feminism towards here we are. Take us as we are, because we are here, we will not leave, and we just want to be. And it's completely enough, it's more than enough just to be yourself. And what we need to change is the system. So stop giving the, I don't know, umpteenth training to women how to behave in the business world to be successful in the business world of men. No, we want to change the system. And I think that is a very big difference. Unfortunately, what I also love in this development is that there are more and more men, male allies, who also say, hey, I saw what's happening. I recognize what's happening very often with their daughters. And that can't be true. You can't be serious. I'm on your side because I can't be anywhere else.
Interesting. Pia, where did you make a difference? I'm sure you did it many occasions, but is there one occasion where you say, yes, there I'm proud of and I did make a difference?
Well, I think part of it's making a difference is very much participating, because if you don't participate, then you can't make a difference. One of the things that I think is very important is, and within the EWMD as well, is to participate and to speak up and make your voice to help getting the word out, and that is where I think I made a difference, and I will be making a difference in the future as well, is to increase the awareness of where there is still a lot of work to do. And as we all know, and that is also something that the Brussels declarations is so important, is that we have done a lot, but we are still here in defending on that everything we've already done should be there in the future as well. Sometimes we're taking a few steps back, and there we need to pay attention that everything we already have achieved is not undone because somebody stands up and say, hey, why is there a woman there? So it is something that we need to work on, and I think the awareness between men and women as well. Yes, so that is where I continue to make a difference in is getting the word out.
Super. Thank you so much. Nadine, you're making many differences by your immense work, but is there one occasion where you say, there I made a difference? I mean, obviously the Brussels Declaration is already a big difference. You know, we could stop there. But maybe you have a little anecdote you wanted to share where you say, I made a difference there.
Yeah, maybe to go a bit more on the personal level, because the Brussels Declaration, as you said, is quite a big thing, and it's more on the policy and so on level. Through my work with EWMD, I discovered a wonderful workshop series, which is called I'm Remarkable. And the idea behind this workshop series is to learn how to speak up more for your accomplishments. So not to brag, not to tell any weird stories, but really to stand up for what you have achieved in your life and where you have been successful. I discovered that. I loved it. I became a facilitator and did a lot of workshops there. And with those workshops, I always can feel those small but significant differences I'm causing by telling people about it, basically telling them the story, where they discover how much they have achieved in their life. There is an exercise in this workshop, and this says you have to do a list of at least 20 sentences that start with I am remarkable. And sometimes I see women sitting there who I know and where I would have said, it's easy for them, they will easily write down 50 items. And they stop at the third because they don't feel what they have done in their life is remarkable. And then when you see the transformation through the work that we do together in a group, where all of a sudden they achieve this kind of state of mind for themselves to say, yes, it is really great what I have done. It is really great. And it's remarkable what I have achieved. And that's always so great to feel that I can make a difference there.
Yes, I can imagine, because I have been part of one of your sessions. And I remember strongly writing this list and thinking at the beginning, oh, I don't know what to write down. And then I figured, whatever, I'm just going to write. And I was writing, like I was just writing. And it felt good. It felt really good. I loved it. And it changed. It's a small switch. It's a small difference it made, like putting something on the right spot, just a small element putting in the right spot and then opening a feeling that comes with it. I can only recommend you taking part in one of the sessions that Nadine hosts free of charge, and also through EWMD. The sessions are called I Am Remarkable, and you find them on the website in the event calendar of EWMD. Thank you very much for being part of this session. I would like to come to an end, and I'm deeply thankful for Tanuja to have stayed up until 2 o'clock, now at 3 o'clock in the morning to be part of the session. And for you, Pia and Nadine, taking the time early on. It's been a true pleasure listening to your story. The next podcast session will be recorded in September. We will have 5 German ladies on the session. The moderation will be done by Simone Lersch, and I'm sure it will be just as exciting listening to their stories, and then with the session in October, which will be the last English session in that episode, we will have completed our 40 stories within the 40th anniversary. And yes, on the 40th anniversary conference in Madrid on the 6th of October, we will record more ladies, especially the founding mothers, some of the founding mothers of EWMD. So stay tuned, and I'm looking forward to the next session. Thank you very much. Goodbye.